So we posed the question to you, the audience, which is more important to a story, the intent of the storyteller or the audience's reaction? And we got some reactions from you guys. First up, we have Nakia Henderson, who said, the audience reaction at the end of the day is just an opinion, and opinion only really matters to the person who holds the opinion or those who agree with it. The storyteller's intent is not an opinion, especially if the storyteller explains their intentions, then it's not up for debate, it's a fact. Patrick Keeley said, I think intent is more important than the audience reaction because we live in a world where mob mentality can cause outrage very quickly. This can distort what actually happened in the book. Take Batman number 50, for example. People were all upset because the wedding didn't happen, but we were shown how Bane has been manipulating events in Batman's life for a very long time. Evelyn Faith Moon said, the reader walks away with whatever they walk away with. You can't go back and tell them what you meant. That would be kind of like explaining why a joke is funny. It doesn't work. Tell the story, set it free, and let the reader hold their interpretation. Charlie Williams said, I think when you spend too much time trying to chase a certain audience, you run the risk of never catching one as the times change, and audiences' reactions do too. Sarah Kimmel said, the onus of being understood is on the communicator, not the audience. If the audience doesn't get the intent of the communicator, then the communicator didn't do their job effectively. Intent is only as good as the audience understanding. So this is like an age-old question.
It really is,
in the art world.
In the art world, yeah, 100%,
period.
yeah.
And honestly, I can't take one side or the other, personally.
Okay.
Because they're both very important things.
Yeah.
I don't think that you can say one is more important than the other because interpretation is going to happen.
It's a relationship, right?
It is absolutely a relationship. And honestly, even when you start out making a piece of art with an intention, who knows if anybody's going to see it?
Right, yeah.
And a lot of people make art with the intention not visible on purpose.
Right, yeah.
So there's a lot of give and take and a lot of stuff
yeah.
going on there.
Yeah.
It's one of those very murky kind of gray areas.
Yeah. So there were a lot of great responses. Actually, I was surprised how good the responses were because sometimes you just kind of get someone who just wants to troll. Yeah. But like, a lot of really great responses, and it was a shame that like we couldn't highlight more of these. But we only got a 30-minute show when we wanted it to be 30 minutes.
Yeah, but like seriously, I only read like parts of some of these responses too. Like we got a lot of insight from you guys. That's really awesome. So thanks for that.
One thing I noticed, and this is just an observation, but like I saw it on our Previous World page. I saw it. We posted it to Free Comic Book Day too. There's a gender divide here, and I thought that was really interesting. Like because I definitely saw more female fans siding with. Not necessarily intention, but like how the audience reacts to it, which I think is not that surprising when you think about it. Just because like I know like fan fiction exists out there, and like it skews towards a certain demographic. I don't think that's any big secret. No. So yeah, I just it's weird because like the last couple of days. I've been seeing a steady stream of similar conversations, not necessarily related to this, but I know that people are upset about Game of Thrones, like the last couple of weeks.
They sure are. I know nothing of what's happening.
Yeah.
I watched like one random episode because I was at a friend's house and they happened to have it on, but I am so far behind that I barely have any context for anything anymore. But everybody very mad.
Everybody's mad about Game of Thrones. And also Endgame too. I saw a few people who were like upset, like particularly about like the Hulk. Like I saw a few people who were like, why didn't he fight Thanos? And it was one of those things I'm like, but he brought everybody back. Like that was his story. Like like
they each have their own parts to play, and they played them.
And they played them, right? Yeah.
It's not any one character's movie. It's the overarching movie, right? So anybody complaining about like one specific character arc or storyline, it's like that wasn't the focus.
Right. Yeah. So exactly. My personal take on this, and I don't know if this is really an answer, but it's my personal take on this. Is like the last. Roughly over a decade, there's been this push for user-generated content, and so like you see like YouTube and like blogs and live journal and like all this other stuff. User-generated content was the buzzword for a very long time, and look, I've benefited from it. Like like I mean, it's just part of like I don't know if you've benefited from it, but I mean that's that's the relationship we're in now with like with media.
This is how it works.
This is how it works, but like. I think it also kind of maybe set a bad precedent.
Yes.
And that like, particularly for entertainment, because like we are getting a lot of, we overvalue reaction videos now, we overvalue fan theories now, like, you know, we overvalue like, and like, you know, I think this Uncanny X-Men thing is kind of a prime example of that. It's just like what the audience is taking, and it's not even like, I don't want to say necessarily the majority of the audience, I just think it's a very particular corner of the audience, is taking away from it, and no one's actually asking what was the writer's intent. No. And even Matthew Rosenberg, I don't think he actually said whether or not, he just was like, look, I understand you guys are upset about this, sorry, you know?
And he doesn't have to give an answer.
He doesn't have to, right.
At all. I mean, that's the other thing about art, like, he doesn't have to tell you why he did it.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, what your reaction is your reaction. Sorry, guys. Like, this is his interpretation. It's his story. And he told it, and he's going to tell it the way he wants to. And you guys can go suck air, honestly. You know? It's just the way it is. And I do agree that social media has made it so that the public can give a lot more flack to people individually that way.
Right,
and that's just such a negative thing.
It is, yeah.
I mean, and of course, I have a friend who has applied that to, of course, the Sonic business, right? Like
the new
that
trailer,
was their interpretation. Like, why are we getting up in arms? But it's, you know, inevitable that something that age old and loved is gonna have that kind of reaction.
Right.
So it goes both ways.
It is. It does. And like, I mean, it's the eternal struggle. I don't know if I necessarily have an answer.
Right.
I think that I've always, the way I've engaged with media, even when I was younger, was like I would go see something and then I would read what the creator was kind of like trying to get across from that. I did that with movies, I did that with TV. I did that when I was like 12. Like I was like, what is Steven Spielberg talking about? Like, you know, like why did he make Jurassic Park, you know?
I've never been that kind of person. I've always just taken art at face value. I mean, I have my own interpretation, but I've never been the kind of person to get up in arms about it. It's there's that piece of art, this is the reaction I had, and there we go. That's cool, or not, or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, in general, I'm glad we were able to have this discussion. I'm glad we were able to provide this discussion for people, and like, keep that conversation going. Like, I think it's interesting, and then, like you said, it's age old. Yeah. Like, it's not going to go away.
No, it's not.
No.
I mean, I went to art school, and we talked about that a lot.
Right. Yeah. And I studied film. I totally understand. Like, it's an age old question. It's not going to go away at all.